Welcome, champs, to the Simply Successful podcast, your place to be for the next level of your life. Today, I have a very special, highly requested FAQ episode for you guys, all around trust issues and success, because this was the most highly requested topic of all on my Instagram and in my one-on-one talks. So your wish is my command. That's why we're gonna dive deeper today into all things trust issues, why we even have trust issues to begin with. So where is the root cause of all of this? And I'm gonna tell you how to identify and catch them in a daily life, and of course, the best saved for the rest. I will not leave you empty handed or with empty pockets. You're gonna leave this episode with full knowledge, tools, and awareness on how to catch your trust issues and how to turn them around and hunt them down and get rid of them for once and for all. So, buckle up, get ready, and let's get you from trap to triumph. Trust issues are as old as time. And believe me, everyone has them to a certain point or degree. And especially what we see in those days, in the digital ages, where everything is so fluid, blended in all together with AI and artificial intelligence and all those programs and database driven clouds and companies and social media and online dating. Everything is kind of digital, and the lines of hard facts get more and more blurry, and that's why people gaining more and more bigger trust issues, because it comes all down to our need for safety and a clear framework, because most of us, we need to know what a certain direction is, we need to know what a certain framework is, we need to know where clear lines or boundaries are in order to navigate safely. And here we come with our trust issues, because in those digital ages where everything is kind of blurry and blended in, it is hard for us really to detach and identify what's true, what's fake. I mean, you can't even believe a video or a photo you see those days anymore, because you never know 100% if it's real or maybe in um, AI created image. And that's actually hard, because we humans naturally struggle with trust issues. And the older we get, the more trust issues we have. Maybe you think back, and this is why we get into our children's head all the time to tell them to be a bit more cautious, especially with strangers. Because when you are a kid and you were born into this world, you are like so carefree. You're like such a blank page. You have no limiting beliefs. You have no judgments. You don't really have fear besides the basic survival fears, but you are like carefree and you don't know stuff like trust issues, right? That's why especially children are so easily convincible, because they're not primed for all the bad that could happen, all the things that could possibly go wrong. And so this is natural. The older we get, the more experiences we made where actually things got wrong or things weren't going the way we wanted to or expected to, then we put over that beautiful carefree layer of that innocent child, we pull over layers of protection and trust issues. Like if there was a thunderstorm back in the days when you were a little kid or your parents were fighting and you crawled into the farthest away corner in the room and you You hid yourself under a blanket. That's what you do metaphorically, mentally, in life too, when you go through not even traumatizing experiences, but just experiences that you wished were different. And every time something like that happens, maybe you wanted to have something, your parents promised you to get you this or that, and then for whatever reason life came in between, the budget wasn't big enough, and you ended up not getting it. That that's a moment when you put a layer of a trust issue over your carefree little innocent being. And maybe then you got a friend in school and he or she didn't show up the way you wanted. So you start doubting, you had a negative experience, and you put that over yourself, over your identity again as another layer, another blanket, and it goes on and on. The older we get, we have disappointments, our judgments, our opinions, our limiting beliefs starts to form and accumulate, and with all those layers getting bigger and bigger and kind of more set in stone. So that's why our trust issues get so big and so hard to crack sometimes, and so overwhelmingly, because we layered them on top of each other for all these years with all those experiences. And now we are here as adults, and even though sometimes we want to be different, we want to give the benefit of a doubt, we want to trust, it is almost like as if there's an autopilot running and forcing us to self-sabotage, to bring up weird behavior, um, that is actually rooted in our trust issues and in these layers of protection, because it's none other than the subconsciousness and our ego mind tries to protect us. And with us, I mean everything we think we are, we accumulate it as our identity over those experiences. Because the funny thing is, we develop something like a mindness mentality. I've read it in that amazing book the other day. And that says actually that you come into this world carefree. You are connected to everything. You know, no division, no separation, no um no limitations basically. And then you grow older and you learn, oh, this is your toy, this is my toy, this is my parents, this is your parents, this is my house and my backyard, and there's a fence around it. So this is us, this is mine, and this is yours. So growing up, you learn separation and you learn those mindness identifications, and not just with physical things, but you adapt this mentality onto everything. So means if you get bullied in school once or twice, you start expecting those behaviors and you start looking in the outer world for confirmation because it's yours. You took it over in that mindness mentality because bullying is mine. It belongs to me. That's why it's happened to me all the time. It's always me. I bet you know a situation where you felt the exact same way. And this is this accumulation of things in this mindness mindset. And with the more things happen, the more layers you put on yourself with the protection, the more you expect life to give you that. And you only look for evidence in the outer world to reassure that belief. Oh yeah, it's always me. It's always me, the one that gets bullied. It's always me, the one that gets cheated on. It's always me, the one that gets betrayed in business. Oh yeah, look, there's another attempt. It's always me. And we have to, first of all, become conscious of that and aware of this behavior and of these patterns, and that you just accumulated it, but it's not set in stone. As view it again as if you have 100 blankets over your head right now, or over your core identity, the true you. It's not hard, it's not set in stone. You can just break free, and of course, the more blankets, the more force you have to bring up to sweep them off of your back. But you can do it. You can just stand up and remove those blankets from you. Let them drop down to the floor. Let the old bullshit from the past drop down to the floor, because this is actually not who you are. This is not the true you. This is just a tiny um, a tiny amount of reality you perceive, just 1% of a million other opportunities how life could be for you, or could have been for you. It is just one way. Just drop it. You're an adult now. You can decide whether you put that blanket on or not, because you're not a child no more. You don't need outer validation, outer protection, outer care. You are a grown up that can care for yourself. So, yeah, I know. Self reflection and growth is sometimes a hard pill to swallow, but it's actually freeing. And it is a huge gift to know now that it is not you. It was never you. It was never your fault. It is just how the mind works, how nature had designed our brain to keep us surviving and not thriving. But luckily, we are all blessed enough to live in a world where all our basic needs, food, shelter, and so on, are more than satisfied. And we are actually able to evolve from that state of just looking out for our surviving. And this is where you have to get in and become aware of those mental patterns and tricks. And you can just like peel it off. Like, you can peel those layers off, and you can go back now to your true core. And maybe you ask yourself now, okay, I get it. Now I kind of understand where all this is coming from, but how do I actually know if I have trust issues or not? I got you. No worries. I brought 11 signs today where you can identify whether you have trust issues or not. And I'll put you a PDF document either on the podcast or on my page or on Instagram, or you can DM me, where you actually can go through them step by step, and you can cross them out whether they resonate with you or not. And then okay, maybe this is a topic I have to work on. I have trust issues because one or two or even all of the points are absolutely resonating with my life and with the troubles I have when it comes to trust. So feel free to reach out to me, download the PDF, and just work your way through it to have a little self check-in if you're not really sure how big your trust issues are. But without further ado, number one, you have trust issues if you find yourself focusing more on the negative than on the positive, or even on the reality. Means you have this, what I just explained, you have this pain colored glasses and reality filters you perceive the outer world through, because probably a lot of times people did hurtful things to you, and you experienced pain, I'm really sure, at one or the other part of your journey. And that made your perception of reality in a way prejudgmental and you kind of seek reassurance, or you are super cautious that it's not going to happen again. You want to protect yourself from pain, which is like the biggest motivation in human nature, actually. We want to avoid pain. And that's why we become hyper aware of the tiniest little sign of something could go wrong, or something could be negative, or something could turn out in a bad way. So that's number one. Number two, you feel like you have to do everything yourself. Oh boy, that's a big one. And I would have marked that with a big fat red pen for me and myself too, because I was that. I thought like you can't trust no one if you want to have the work done perfectly into my higher, super high performance standards. Then there's only one person that can do the work, right? That can do the job, and that's me. And I was there. And I still struggle with it sometimes, but I'm getting better. I'm working on that too, guys. But this is a big sign of trust issues, that you feel like you have to do everything yourself. Number three, you avoid intimacy. You make sure that no one's getting too close. You're not getting too vulnerable or open, or yeah, just like intimate with people. I think that's a big thing, especially in men. And number four, you are suspicious of friends and family. That links in a bit with number one, that you focus on negative, but it's just like that you are constantly suspicious and hyper aware that, or self conscious that even your friends and family, your closest circle, may have not the best interest at heart or mind for you. And you don't trust them. You watch out for sneaky behavior, for inconsistency, for um, even lies, maybe, or inauthentic behavior. So that's another big trust issues I see a lot. And I have found myself within myself is like being suspicious of friends and family. And number five is you hold grudges, and you have such a hard time that you can rarely forget or forgive. And I see that a lot. It's another protection mechanism because we attach stories to what happens to us. And our brain tries to make sense of situation, and oftentimes we attach the story, we tell ourselves the story that people did something wrong to us because they intentionally wanted to hurt us, they intentionally wanted to break us and do us wrong and harm us. But from a psychological point of view, most of the humans are working on autopilot. And even if it seems like they have lower motives and want to, they're probably not even aware that they were hurting you with that behavior, that they were hurting you with excluding you from a certain party, or not reaching out as often as you wanted to, or with choosing another business partner over you. They're probably not even aware of that, how hurtful it is to you. So it is really helpful to look for wherever you hold grudges, because most of the time, the only person that is really hurting and suffering from the grudges is you, and rarely the other person. But number six, you keep so many things to yourself. You like hide everything. You're not really telling people, not even your closest circle. You think you have to deal with everything by yourself. This is a big sign of trust issues, of course, and it's kind of obvious to me. Another maybe not so obvious sign is number seven. You pick fights because you're hyper aware. And that I saw a lot of in my own behavior in relationships and in friendships sometimes, is really because you are hyper aware. You're almost expecting the other person to do you wrong. That's when you jump in and kind of attack first. And this is like you get super hyper aware of the tiniest signs that maybe something gets wrong. And before the other person has the chance to hurt you, you assume a story or a certain outcome because you experienced it so many times in the past. And you go on to them and just attack them. Maybe sometimes it's a few words and they haven't even finished their sentence yet, but you just hear an attack, a possible threat, and you just get at them, start a fight, attacking them. That's a huge issue of actually of not having trust in the other person that it is a safe place. Number 8, you spy on people. And yeah, it's not just women that spy on men or people. Men spy on men spy on women in general. If you find yourself spying on people, that is obviously because you have trust issues. Number 9, you avoid commitment because most likely you experienced some sort of pain or trauma in a commitment with your parents, in a friendship, or with a partner. And that's why you try to avoid the potential pain that could come with another commitment. Number 10, you are a loner. You are a lone wolf. And in relationship theory, there is different attachment styles, and the lone wolf mentality is kind of like aligned with the avoidant attachment. And the difficult thing with that is that society even glorifies that role for men because they say like, oh, he's a lone wolf, he's hyper independent, he needs no one and nobody, and look at that strong guy, warrior type. But actually, science has proven that even more important than exercise, nutrition, working out for your health and longevity and for peace of mind is having nourishing, trustworthy, and close relationships. So, this whole idea of the lone wolf and the glorified avoidant attachment is actually just a big trust issue thing, and it's actually not healthy for you in terms of the long run. Even though may you get recognition or appreciation for it in society, playing that role, and you feel comfortable in that role because now you don't have to commit to someone, you don't have to be vulnerable with someone, you don't have to open up, you don't have to bond. So you burn all bridges and you get into your castle and you kind of like alone yourself from the outer world. That may appear safe, but it's actually a pretty miserable life in the long haul. But number 11, last but not least, you have a fear of abandonment. And this is where it comes all down to, because you don't want to feel the pain of being abandoned. And every time you connect to people and you open your heart and you're vulnerable, there's a power in that to the other person as well. And being abandoned at some point with your needs, with what you want, who you are, what you set, your opinion for who you stand. Being abandoned is just a horrible feeling, and we want to avoid it, especially when we are in that developmental mindset stages where we see an abandonment as a direct rejection of us personally, and we have our self-worth attached to abandonment or rejection. So that is like a core wound, really, and issue for, or not issue, a core thing in having trust issues. All right, maybe you've gone through the list and checked up all the points or some points, but don't you worry, I'll got you. We'll take a breather now, and then we're going to look into the steps on how to solve this and make you safe and sound in your own being and peel off those layers of trust issues from the past. Congratulations, champ. You are still here, proving to me that you're a real badass. Working through that self reflection exercises so far. And I don't want you to get discouraged or disappointed right now when you find yourself checking off a lot of boxes of that 11-point list of trust issues, because we are all there. We all have multiple boxes checked, I promise. And actually, this is the point where you can be grateful and you can be proud of yourself because you come so far and you're grateful and you've done a huge step out of the trust issues and into a fulfilled and more anxiety free life. Because right now, you have brought a lot of the automatic, unaware behavior from the darkness, from the blind spots into the light. You have them in front of you right now on that list. And now we can just check them off again in the way that we know how to get rid of them, we know how to treat them, to step by step evolve out of them, peel those layers off, shed those blankets off to become free again, stand tall and safe and secure in who we are, in who you are, and have no issues anymore with trust. And with all of my work, the biggest change and the only change you can do is within yourself. That's why I want to give you 5 steps now on how we navigate out of that identified trust issues. So, first of all, be easy on you. You probably in your 30s, in your 40s, however old you are facing, looking back to, let's say, around 30 years of programming and 30 years of those protection layers building up over your head and over your true core identity. So we don't have the snip, we don't have the magic wand to just release it in one step, but it's not going to take forever too. So you're going to see that tiny changes and just the awareness you have right now is already a huge shift in the desired direction and giving you a more anxiety free life of full potential. Because if you get rid of the trust issues, you can fully live life because you can fully step into experiences knowing that you're safe and that you can trust yourself. And this is actually where to begin with, because most of the time the trust issues arise because you don't trust the man in the mirror. Let that sink in. You don't trust yourself. You don't trust the man in the mirror. You're not committing to the highest version of the man in the mirror. You're not respecting the man in the mirror. You're not kind and loving and forgiving to the man in the mirror, to yourself. So if you don't give all the things you demand from other people to you, to yourself first, how in the hell can you expect other people to show up like that for you? Because we are in a dual universe. Everything reflects parts of us back. So if we are not kind, not trustworthy, not reliable, not accountable with ourselves, then guess what? The outer world, other people are going to reflect back to us. If you say to yourself, you're going to hit the gym 5 times a week and you're not even going once, then how trustworthy are you to yourself? Because you're not keeping up the actions to your words. You're not keeping up with what you said you're going to do. So, this is where I want you to start. Take small steps and with yourself and others, start giving the benefit of a doubt again. Reverse that negative framework on people, things, and experiences. And what if actually this time it's going to be fucking amazing? And just give the benefit of a doubt, but go in small steps and take your time. This is my second advice. Take your time. And I'm telling this advice to myself all day, every day, because I was so used to rush into things and to rush into everything. Because I thought I was always pressured. I was on a race, on the run, on the hunt for being ahead of everything, and that made me rush into decisions, into business ventures, into relationships, and it burned me the fuck to ground. That's why I give you the lessons without scars, because I was in that cycle again and again. And now I know more than ever it is so crucial to take your time. Time to allow to trust again in yourself and in others. But that includes as well take time to get to know you. Because how can you trust someone that you don't know? And the same is with you. If you don't know yourself, if you don't know where you gonna be, where you want to go, where you are, what's important to you, what's your values, what's your dream identity, what you're up for in life, then how in the world are you able to trust you if you have no idea about who you actually are? And the same with other people. Before you jump into that business venture, before you jump into that relationship, take your precious time to get to know each other, to see people, how they react under stress. Everyone is sugar and rainbows and smiley faces when everything goes well. But wait until people come under pressure. They reveal their true inner selves. Wait until people are under immense stress or in stressful circumstances or even in crisis. Then is the point where masks fall off and you see the true character. So give it time to see the whole picture and then decide, is this trustworthy? Is this where I want to invest my time, my energy, my dignity into? And number three, which is so crucial, why I am as a woman doing this for men in the first place, is to remind you guys that you have such a powerful tool and antenna when it comes to people, and that is your intuition. Not just women have a gut feeling, not just women have a seventh sense or sixth sense, whatever you want to call it. Yes, women are more sensitive to frequency, but that doesn't mean that you guys don't know when something is wrong, right? And how many times do we catch ourselves in that moment that, fuck's sake, I knew it? Oh, kind regards, your intuition. How many times did you catch yourself really acknowledging that you had the gut feeling from the start? You sensed that something is off with that person. So, why in the world then you come up with all the logical stories why it makes sense anyways and why other people make it or could make it work or work through or whatever, all this mental bullshit. Your intuition is the most powerful tool because vibe vibe is never lying. Like energy never lies. Words can be sweet, words can be powerful, words are powerful, but a vibe energy never lies. So please, please develop that gut feeling. Trust that gut feeling. And that's another path to trust in yourself more because you are acknowledging the signs your body telling you. You're acknowledging and trusting in your inner guidance. And that is so, so important on that path. And number four, I said it already in the first place, but if you cannot trust yourself, then how can you expect other people to trust you? So work on that. Work on becoming the most trustful person yourself first. Maybe sit down and write down all the things that actually mean being a trustful person to you. Write down, okay, me as the most trustful person would be A, B, C, D. Would be if I say I'm gonna come, I'm gonna show up. If I'll make an appointment, I'll be there on time. I'm freaking reliable. I'm freaking accountable. You can trust me. If I'll tell you I'm going to be there, I'm going to be in there with you. You can trust me. So prove that. And maybe even start by defining what that means to you being a trustworthy person. And once you have that, then you're going to experience not just other people trusting you, but you can trust other people because you are safe and sound and strong in yourself. And the the next or the fifth and last step I want you to try out is in that becoming a trustworthy person. Take all those boxes you checked off from the 11 signs of trust issues. Take that sheet of paper and go to the right side and reflect on each point you crossed out. Where do I do this to myself? Because other people are mostly reflecting to us what we do to ourselves. For example, if you checked off the first box, you focused too much on negative. Okay, then reflect on yourself. Where do I focus in myself all the time on negative? Am I over judgy with myself? Am I over criticizing? Do I only see the flaws, the lacks, the mistakes I make? Do I only see um, the qualities that are not good, that are not perfect? Do I always see the lack and the negative in myself? And then this is where I want you to start. Acknowledge it. And now reverse engineer it, switch it. Say to yourself 5 things you're proud of today and switch your focus. And that's when you switch your focus on yourself, being more positive about yourself. You're going to notice that you're going to be more forgiving, more carefree with other people to begin with. Another thing, if you check the box that you avoid intimacy, then ask yourself, where do I avoid intimacy with myself? Because intimacy is into me, I see. And where do you really give yourself time on a regular basis for seeing into yourself, for spending time with yourself, for getting to know yourself, getting to know what you want, what your needs, what your hopes are, what your dreams are, what you need right now to feel fulfilled, whole, happy, joyful. So if you don't have that time with yourself, that intimacy with yourself, then how can you commit to be intimate with someone else? That's just not possible. Or, for example, if you are avoiding commitment, then ask yourself, where do I avoid commitment with myself? Speaking about diet, exercise, or that self care, that intimacy. Do I really show up for myself in the way that is in the best possible version of me, like in the best interest of myself? Do I really show up with the best diet I can have? Do I really commit to myself becoming the best, the healthiest, the most happiest and fulfilled version? Because if you do not commit to yourself and commit to becoming the most healthiest and best and happiest like version of yourself, then how can you show up to be that in someone else's life? How can you be nourishing, providing, protecting, be a good husband, a good business partner, a good dad to all the people that are important in your life if you don't fill your cup first to the fullest? Because no one can serve from an empty cup, and so can't you. And so I want you to go through that list and through those points you checked, through the boxes you checked, and really do that self reflection. And if you went through that whole episode with me, if you went through that exercise, boy, you are not just halfway through, you are 75% through it. And now it's just consistency that is key. Now, if you have reprogrammed, you have it aware, you have reprogrammed and reframed the boxes. Now you go out there in your life and you adapt those changes, those tiny little changes, 5 minutes here, 10 minutes here for intimacy, getting yourself, sitting yourself down, committing to yourself, and show the fuck up. And then you are there, and we have resolved all your trust issues. So you're very welcome. If this was helpful to you and you want to share it with someone that actually can benefit from you, then I would be more than grateful and appreciative. Thanks for spending your valued and most precious time with me today and work on your best life. And thanks for letting me get you from trapped to triumph.